Welcome to the finale of Blood 2: The Nightmare levels. We start off with an empty arena and a suspiciously unguarded life seed. Grab that and get ready. We get thrown into a gauntlet of grudge lords and several Shikari. The good news, they managed to make a rush through several Shikari not ridiculously difficult. The bad news, they did this by making it ridiculously boring. They spawn in one at a time from 3 separate spawn points, and another doesn't spawn until you kill whichever one last spawned from that point. The room is big enough that their AI doesn't quite get that you exist until you get close, which means it's easy to park yourself in one corner and slowly pick away at them until they're all dead. I think you get the point. Kill everything and a way forward blows open. Past this hallway's the final boss of the entire game. You ready?
So you're the thing that's been dragging me through all these rifts. Now you're gonna pay. And my weenies better not be burnt when I get back.
And this is it. A giant dog without skin over its face. And it launches fireballs that are a real bitch to dodge if there isn't already something between you and them. Interestingly, this boss fight might be in reference to the Lord of All Nightmares from the first game's Cryptic Passage expansion, since that boss was just Cerberus, but twice. They look pretty similar, have similar names, all that. The Blood Wiki even has mention of a fan theory that the Nightmare here could be the otherworld version of the Lord of All Nightmares, or a reincarnation of the Lord of All Nightmares seeking revenge. But alas, the actual fight doesn't have anything going for it. Well, except that you don't get enough ammo coming in to kill it. You have to run and grab more eventually. Don't mind the health bar, the game crashed again and it did some weird things when I came back. There we go, more bullets. Get some! Wow, okay. I thought I saw the last of that one and to play through on easy. That's hilariously disappointing.
And so our story comes to an end. Caleb is victorious yet again. It seems nothing can stop him. At times it is almost as if the unseen hand of some otherworldly being is guiding his actions. But it is best for me not to dwell on such things. For now I will content myself with observation. The Chosen have many adventures ahead of them. Stories to tell, battles to fight, and empires to forge. Perhaps one day I will find a way to make my return. On that day, I assure you, Caleb will burn.
Excuse me, but who took the last marshmallow?
Ishmael?
I'm gonna kill you both if you don't shut up.
And that's that. A disappointing finish to what should have been a good expansion. I'm not saying the entire thing was bad, because I obviously enjoyed myself for 2/3 of it at the least, but goddamn was that not an acceptable finish. The credits are much shorter and mostly the same people, so I'm going to focus on something else, an entire second expansion. The second expansion for Blood 2 would have been named Revelations, developed by a small British developer called Tequila Productions, consisting of a friend of James Wilson, a guy named Tom Francis, alongside two of his friends, Peter Hopkins and David Wilson. The story would have involved an offshoot of the Cabal formed after the death of Chernobog's 11th incarnation, a cult calling themselves the Crest. This group would have split from the Cabal proper during Gideon's rise to power and the shift towards becoming Cabalco. After Caleb kills Gideon, he apparently takes control of the Cabal, Tequila Software apparently not deciding to ignore the completely out of character between level text, and the Crest immediately sees him as a threat. They kidnap Caleb and prepare for a ritual to exorcise the essence of Chernobog from Caleb and transfer it into a new host, a man named Cain. Caleb would have come to sooner than expected and escaped from the warehouse, starting off with a stealth-based mission, before escaping the warehouse, finding a weapon, and returning to grab a key for a lorry. The whole thing would have been 2 chapters of 7 levels each, levels intending to take place in a dark city with the sort of feel of an old gangster film. There's not a whole lot about what would have happened after the first level, but there is a transcript of the ending. Remember how Gideon made mention of some otherworldly being guiding Caleb's actions? Revelations would have, well, revealed that this otherworldly being was none other than Chernobog, that ever since the end of the original game, the player has been controlling Chernobog controlling Caleb instead of just controlling Caleb. Cain would have undergone his ritual, stolen the essence of Chernobog from Caleb, and then a boss fight would have ensued, with the player playing as Cain rather than as Caleb. Interestingly, the game would have ended after this boss fight no matter how it went. Either the player as Cain kills Caleb and takes control of the Cabal, or Caleb would have killed Cain and regained Chernobog's essence. The expansion would have had several new weapons as well. Some of the other weapons would also have changes. The knife's damage would have been more noticeably affected by the player's strength stat, alongside adding a separate set of throwing knives. The orb's secondary fire would have been turned into a melee attack, which only cost focus if it hits someone. The sawed-off shotgun would have been changed so the guns fired alternately, one gun reloading while you could still fire the other, to pump out a more steady stream of buckshot without having to use oversights in gameplay mechanics. And the MAC-10 would have been modified to allow its secondary fire to be used with 2 guns, which could have been nice. Unfortunately, the expansion was even more ill-fated than the game itself. Tequila Software worked on it for about 6 months before Infogrames decided to cut support due to the low sales of Blood 2. The group continued working on it for their own purposes for a little while past that, hoping to release it as a free expansion and hopefully add something to their portfolio and look good for later work. Unfortunately, little work was made beyond this point before Tequila Software disbanded. There's little info on what the 3 people behind it have been up to since. Peter Hopkins went on to do technical art for 2005's Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth, and also did some work in design for several Disney-themed games, the GoldenEye remake, 007 Legends, and Kinect Sports Rivals. He's also mentioned in the special thanks for Sea of Thieves from last year. The rest of the team split off to focus on other things after Tequila's demise. A July 2002 post from Hopkins mentioned that David Wilson went to study computer science for a Bachelor of Science degree, while Tom Francis was, at the time, studying philosophy at Southampton University. That said, a quick check for more info indicates that Tom Francis may have come back to game development, where he's since worked on games such as Heat Signature, Morph Blade, Distance, Gunpoint, and is currently working on Tactical Breach Wizards. In 2015, Hopkins decided to start releasing what they had of several expansion packs they worked on but never finished, including the assets for Blood 2 Revelations. This included 2 new music tracks, 5 new lines from Caleb, and several levels, although the vast majority of them are unfinished. Well, that's all I've got for now. I've got one more video coming soon to show off the last of what I can think of for this game, and then I am done. Until next time, I'll see you again.